What's up, Jets Nation? You're now watching Jets Guru. Now give it up for Daniel Smith and Tyrus Kinnan. I say give it up. What's up, Jets Nation? You are now watching Jets Guru. Now give it up for Daniel Smith and Tyrus Kinnan. I said give it up. What's up, Jets Nation? You are now watching Jets Guru.
Jets Guru, Jets content with Daniel Smith every Wednesday night as usual. Welcome to Jets Guru, Jets content with Daniel Smith every Wednesday night as usual. It's a spot to be every Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Make sure alerts are set right. Posting articles from the Guru team. Jets all day with producer Junior in the background, holding it down. Dripping in sauce, dipping in a G5 like the boss. Lighting in a bottle, they ride. All gas, no brakes, full throttle. JTS, Jets.
What's going on, Jets Nation? CJ the Painkiller D. Simone here, and you are watching Jets Guru. Now, give it up for your host, Mr. Daniel Smith!
What is up? Yes! Jets Guru team in the house. We are here. Thank you, YouTube, for tuning in. Thank you for everyone on Facebook tuning in. Jets Guru in the house. And we have football back. This is what I'm talking about, baby. We're covert operation. We're doing things behind the scene on our own page. It's crazy, man. I'm just so excited. I haven't been this excited in a long time. And we were just talking about it in our meeting before the show. Another reason why I'm so excited about this is that look at the depth chart. There's hardly any injuries. Look at the injury report. Go look at the injury report, and it is pretty clean, baby. This is what we need going in. I don't want no excuses. I don't want, well, what if he didn't get hurt? Or what if this guy, you know, we've had so many devastating injuries. I would just like to go into a season clean and get through that first game. So the first huddle, we got through it. Pretty clean roster going in, right? Sorry for the guys that are injured, but I mean, pretty clean for the system of what we're trying to do. And let's bring in our boy, Mr. Kennedy, man. Bring him in. It's time. It is time to celebrate as Jet fans. There is no losses on the deck yet. This is all just going out there and just saying, hey, man, what do you think we got? And I ask you, how excited are you about the season? You know, are your expectations high? Are you just staying level? What is it?
Hey, listen, man. I am more excited than R. Kelly at a Girl Scout meeting. That's how excited I am about this football season. Like I'm looking forward to it. You know, we got Aaron back. He's healthy. The line's healthy. Like this is the first season in a long time we have really no big worries about the offensive line.
Yep.
So that's in itself is enough to be, you know, excited about. But then, you know, you got the defense, you got Q, okay, you got his brother, you got CJ, but it's the depth, like you was talking about earlier. Look at the two undrafted free agent rookies, right? Yep. Excited about that. Excited about my boy Michael Carter, who we'll get into later. You know, and I told y'all about Leonard Taylor III long ago. He's about to prove me right, I'm telling you.
Yep. Absolutely. I'm super excited. There's so many storylines that can go on here. Another one, I mean, Quinnen Williams. I mean, are we going to start to see now a takeover? Or is he just going to be a DT that you're like, yeah, he's real good. He's one of the best Jets players. But is he going to start to push into that Aaron Donald territory and consistency every year and be that same Quinnen Williams every single year? I think he will. I think he's only stronger now. This system finally, the Jets aren't shuffling defensive systems every couple of years. So these guys have played with the Jets a while in this system. They know what to expect. I am so excited to see this defensive line rotation. I'm really excited to see McDonald, to see if he could be the guy that replaces Huff pretty much. I don't know if Reddick is going to return. I'm assuming he is because, I mean, how much money are you going to lose? So,
Right.
if it ain't the first game, and that's the thing that blows my mind, just to kind of go to the side on that, is that if you know that unless you know for a fact that you're not coming back this season, you're holding out the whole season, why waste your time and get in there, get game ready so that you have more games on your resume to show a potential team next year what you're capable of. It just doesn't make any sense at this point. It made sense for a very, very little tiny split second until you realize that Joe Douglas is your GM, and then the agent should have informed him, or whoever informed him, that, like, all right, you said you did your little dance out there. Hey, I'm out here, pay me. But now it's time to come back and get down to business. Saleh, very committed, obviously, to his scheme and his defense and his players, coming out and saying, we got plenty of guys to rush the passer. And I believe him. I mean, I believe him when he says that. There's no hesitation in my voice. Well, I'm not sure about that, man. Again, Jermaine Johnson can get after the quarterback. Again, we've actually seen that it is possible. It is possible to blitz with the Jets linebackers. Finally, they did last year. I'm comfortable with that. So for me, I'm comfortable with McDonald taking his necessary step forward. This is why they drafted him where they drafted him. I think he's capable of doing that. I think Quinnen Williams is unique in the sense where he could stop the run, but he's a go-getter. He goes after players. So in a sense, he's almost a pass rusher too. So you have a guy up the middle. And then the one wild card that I think could turn this whole defensive line is Michael Clemens. If Michael Clemens can show up and be a solid player for this defense, it's going to carry dividends, because we've talked about it before. Some of the up and coming guys that the Jets went out and kept on this roster. And I think Solomon Thomas is going to show. Leonard Taylor is going to show. I think these guys will show. I think Kinlaw being reunited with his head coach again, I think he's going to show. And I think all in rotation, staying fresh, playing guys in situations that best fit and tailor to their skill sets, which you're able to do when you have multiple bodies that could do what the Jets defense does. And you could do that within a system that Saleh puts out there. I think it all just comes together, and it's just wonderful, man. I think, like, the Jets defense the last 2 years, people are really not talking about how hard that was for them to show that well with how bad that offense really was. It really was a masterclass. In all honesty, the Jets should have been probably the best defense or top 2 defense both years, okay? And there should have been a lot more shine and attention on them. And instead, they caught a lot of arrows towards the end of not last year, but the year before, because they kind of fell apart on the back end. But that was a complete disaster of an offensive system. And last year, it was a little bit better, but still, it was a lot. The field position that they started at, what they had to do just to keep the New York Jets in the game, most teams would have folded and been done by halftime, early third. The Jets always gave you a game to watch, right, Mr. Kennedy? They always
Yep.
gave you a game to watch last year.
Yeah. If I was a defensive player last year, I would have been highly pissed, man. Like, highly pissed every single game. Like, you are put in a situation where you have to be damn near perfect every drive because of the offense, because of the horrible quarterbacking, because of the horrible play calling that you had to make because of the horrible quarterbacking. So, I would have been pissed, especially, the defensive line. Like last year, defensive line, they had the most sacks. The defensive line had the most sacks since the sack exchange. Like they had what 46 last year from the line alone. So they did their part only to not be rewarded more often than not.
Yep.
So again, that defense showed a lot. That defense was the reason why I watched every single game. That defense was the reason why we won 7 games instead of just 2 or 3. Like if they would have been mediocre, we'd have been jockeying for the first pick.
Yep, absolutely.
So to have that, and then to have Joe add on to that defense, it says a lot, man. So Aaron give us 75% of himself, we're a problem.
Absolutely, 100%. I think we're a problem all around. And shout out to New York Jets Fly, and also shout out to One Team, Our Team, for supporting our page and allow us to post on there, and many other pages too. We've gone through it, the list of pages, and we'll do it again sometime this year to do a shout out. Because again, we're not trying to control the airwaves. We're just trying to put our perspective out there and hope that we collect enough fans and people. And it seems like you guys like it. It seems like we're back in rotation. You guys are coming back now. You're excited about the Jets, and this isn't, oh, the Jets have a good running game and a defense. The Jets have a young quarterback, but he's talented. This isn't that. This is a veteran Hall of Fame quarterback that still has the skill set, with a Pro Bowl running back and a host of other running backs just in case he goes down, or just to compliment him, and a solid, and I mean by solid, I mean could be elite by the end of the season, depending on if they stay healthy and what happens this year. But you're talking about depth at multiple positions. And something that also no one has spoken about is the fact that Fashanu, a top, how can I say this, a top 5 talent, right, at his position, okay, is sitting on the bench. On the bench. That has never happened in my lifetime. Anytime the Jets have drafted a left tackle, a right tackle, anything of importance, a quarterback, a running back, a receiver, they always play right away, because the Jets are so desperate to feed the fan base, to get fans in the seats, to do something, that they always risk it. They always put in the young talent before they have to. And with this team, they do not have to do it anymore. They can let this guy sit and learn, and they can let him build and develop. And I love what Joe has done the whole time he's been here in trying to build the line. It didn't happen for him. Unfortunately, every piece that he brought in, guys that had resumes or were trending in a positive direction, unfortunately with the Jets, failed or just didn't work out, or something happened, or they were injured. It wasn't like this offseason where everyone's coming in clean. It has a different feel this year. Like it really, really does. Like last year was nervous. I felt it even the first game. I wasn't at that game, but I wasn't really too happy when the game started. Like I was just kind of indifferent for some reason. And everything looked beautiful in the stadium, and it presented very well on the TV screen. And it was just really, really nice. It was really dramatic, but it was just kind of, I don't know, it was just throwing me off a little bit. It was a little too much, right? Or something. And then what happened 4 or 5 plays later, whatever it was, it just didn't feel right from the get for me. I didn't like the fact that Rodgers didn't have a backup that was suitable, and that you went from a 3rd string quarterback. Basically, you said, he's toast. He wasn't even dressing at one point. So you went to that portion, and then you say, okay, well, if Rodgers gets hurt, he's pretty much the guy now. It was a little too much for me, and it showed. And the Jets blew an opportunity, Mr. Kennedy, I believe last year, to make the playoffs. And I love Joe Douglas. Everybody knows that. He's not going to be perfect. For some reason, fans think that he has to be. But
No.
I love the way that he makes deals, and I love how he drafts, and I love how he picks up undrafted free agents and kind of fills them in throughout the team. But one thing he didn't do last season was reach and go get one of those backup quarterbacks out there that could have served you well. And not just that, it wasn't like you would have been wasting a pick now to get a guy that was like, all right, he's gone next year. You could have easily turned around and just brought one of those guys back in for the following year and extended him if he played well within your system. And everything would have worked out good, and you wouldn't have had to give up hardly anything. Like we saw, it wasn't a lot being thrown out there. The Jets could have easily got one of these guys. And I think the playoffs would have been nice last year for the Jets after all of that to get in there and make a little bit of noise, and you never know. That would have been fun. I think that is a mark on him. He should have reached. I felt like the Jets were a little too timid in approaching that scenario. But I mean, other than that, man, I mean, again, we talk about the tiers. The season is here. So let's get right into it. Mr. Kennedy, as you know, it came in, and me personally, and I'm very out front with it. I mean, I've been tied up. I saw that Michael Carter got signed late. This is a player that the Jet fans were starting to get a little bit nervous about. And rightfully so, because how many times have the Jets had a solid slot corner and then they just gone?
Right.
They're just, you're like, man, because it's natural. Usually, those guys, those slot corners are usually guys who are outside corners a lot. And now it's a little bit more tailored, but in the past, there were usually outside corners who were forced to play inside because they didn't have a size or a skill set to play on the outside, and to build yourself up, work in the roster, solidify yourself as a slot corner that can cover that inside slot out, cover that quick shifty guy. Now, I mean, he's turned himself into the best slot corner in the NFL. So I think this is well-deserved on many levels. It rewards a Jet player that's in uniform that you brought in and saying, hey, look at this guy. He worked hard. He brought it. And now he's being rewarded. And I think it's a good message to the young drafted players of the New York Jets. And I like it. It's kind of like, hey, I'm going to take care of guys who are here, ready to go, ready to rock and roll to start the season. And when this guy's ready, Mr. Reddick can come in, and then we'll figure it out.
Right. So let's talk about Carter, right? So Michael Carter, like you alluded to earlier, he's the best slot corner in the game, right? And he just recently, got rewarded a 3-year, $30.75 million deal with 33 with the extension it's worth up to 33 million, and he's getting almost 20 million in guarantees. And as you can see, this is why. He was first in total yards allowed last year, 195. First in total receptions allowed, 25. First in yards per snap, 0.54. First in snaps per reception, 14.4. First in PFF coverage grade, 83.3. And first in penalties allowed with only just 1. Now, going into that season, the Jets had 3 cornerbacks in the top 15. Sauce was 1, of course. I think Reed was like 8th, and I want to say he was maybe 14th or 15th. So, this guy was by many teams on not on their draft boards. He was considered an undrafted free agent. Joe Douglas took him in the 5th round, and it paid off. Like you see the work he put in, and he was playing well from day one, right? He was laying the wood from day one. Like I used to call him, MC Hammer, since his, Mike Carter MC Hammer, because he was laying the hammer to people. So he deserved everything he got. And if this defense was called, considered the Avengers, he would be Thor. Flying in, laying the hammer, and moving on. And that's what I like about him, man. And honestly, I think he could play safety as well, and it would be just as good. So that just goes to show, the talent, the scouting, the development, and you know, you get rewarded for that. It's big. You paid Q, now you paid him, and you got like 3 or 4 more people you gonna have to take care of real soon. But it bodes well, for the Jets fans to see Joe Douglas handling business like that.
Absolutely, 100%. And he constructed this roster on a tiered level that nobody's really talking about. But if you look at the Jets' defensive roster, you up and down the roster, you have such a perfect blend of drafted young talent, veterans, and like fill in second tier players, that also were drafted. It's like, you're seeing the full depth of drafts because we all get excited about the number 1 pick and our first round pick and things like that. But you're drafting for 7 rounds, including, signing undrafted free agents. And when you're bringing these guys in, a lot of times the fans only focus on the Sauce Gardner, only focus on, the Quinnen Williams, these big time players, CJ Mosley. But when you look up and down the roster, it is a perfect blend of former players that played in the system, which your head coach played in San Francisco. So you have a few of those players that can translate the system to the younger players. And you got a nice mix of talented veterans. You got a nice mix of talented young players. It's a nice influx. And I love the way this roster is built. I love the way this roster is constructed. This is the full construction of Joe Douglas's masterpiece. If, let's say, he was creating the New York Jets, when he walked in the front door, this is the full masterpiece of that. You have a dynamic wide receiver, which he always wanted. This is why he went after Tyreek Hill. This is why he said, I missed out on Robbie, and we tried to go after Tyreek. We wanted someone that's a big-time player. If you think about Garrett Wilson and the routes that he has had to run because of the quarterback play and because of the breakdown in the lines, because of the injuries over his last 2 years, that is nothing of what he's actually capable of. Garrett Wilson is capable of being a big-time, big-play player. This is a guy that has full ability and range of motion. He's like Gumby. Like his ability to be able to catch passes on the sideline and twist and contort his body, the way he goes up at the point of the top of the reception to go and get the ball is elite. Like I used to talk about Robbie Anderson back in the day, right? Because these are our players we get to see all the time. And Robbie was good at that when McCown used to throw him the football down the field. He was good at going and spotting the ball and basically getting it, even though he was a very slender, small receiver. Garrett Wilson takes it to a whole nother level. This guy has ups. He has body control. He has body movement. He has elite footwork on the sidelines. He has elite footwork route running. He is elite after the catch in his agility and his movement and his just like, I guess I would say street ball movement as well. Just his ability to kind of juke and create off his mind and spinning and kind of going under. He is so creative. He is a 1,500 yard receiver if you put the ball where he needs it to be. And he really hasn't had that. And he just went out and won, offensive rookie of the year. And, last year was very frustrating for him. And, he was a good sport about it, and I think he showed a lot of maturity coming off the first year as well. So for me, do you look up and down this roster? The Jets have absolutely everything that you need. We spoke about last week, Breece Hall, Braylon Allen, Isaiah Davis, Abadiconda. I mean, just look at the Jets receivers. I really do think Alan Lazard is going to have a step up year. You got Malachi Corley in the slot, which is only going to push Xavier Gibson. I love Tyler Conklin with Aaron Rodgers. I love if Mike Williams can stay healthy, that he's there. Again, we spoke about it, just up and down. Like this team is ready, Mr. Kennedy. They're ready.
Oh yeah,
this is it.
So, we had a comment, and I hope I pronounce your last name right. Forgive me if I don't. Andrew Weckerly, and he asked about Tyrod Taylor if Aaron goes down. So you look at the Jets, and you just talking about that. Between those two, we have 34 years of QB experience. Two guys who are traditionally known to not turn over the ball.
Yep.
So, and I've been telling people, we had Tyrod Taylor last year. We win 10 games easily.
Yep.
A healthy Tyrod, 10 games. So, and I hope we don't have to prove this out this year. But if Aaron has to miss 2-3 games, I feel very confident we win 3 games, 2-1. With Tyrod Taylor because of Brees, because of Wilson, because of that defense, because of Tyrod's ability to throw and run the ball. So this team has built itself up from the ground up, has a very solid foundation. The one guy nobody's really talked about is Tyron Smith. If we get a healthy Tyron Smith, you got an all-world left tackle. We talking about somebody who, at his prime, was better than Trent Williams. Tyron Smith is a Hall of Famer. Trent Williams is a Hall of Famer. Healthy Tyron, better than Trent in my opinion. So
Yeah.
he stays healthy. You got a solid right tackle with Morgan Moses. You got Fashanu sitting on the bench, like you said, learning from a all-time great and everybody else. So Joe sat back these last couple of years and looked where his shortcomings was and said, you know what, I'm not doing that again. And he went and Joe proofed his roster because he lacked, like you mentioned earlier, with the quarterback situation. He fixed that. Running back situation. He fixed that. Wide receiver situation. He fixed that. So they built to win, man. They built to win now. They built to win next year after that. So I'm really looking forward to it. And he's not playing this year, but you got Jordan Travis, right?
Yeah.
One look at Florida State with him gone, and you can see how much talent he had. So
Right.
we got a lot going on, a bunch of positives. The only real negatives we had this year is Hassan Reddick heavy on the dick, and that's about it. So we good, man.
Yeah, exactly. That's how I feel. I feel like the team is ready to rock and roll. I mean, it's weird because usually you see a team like this and you go, all right, well, we made the playoffs, and then the next year we won a game or two and we just missed out. Now we're going to take the next step. And it's been like just a dry spell for 13 years, and all of a sudden, boom, big playoff expectations. And I a lot of people are going to say pump the brakes. I know that's what they're going to say Monday night before the game starts. They're going to say pump the brakes a little. Let's see, this and how Rodgers and I get it. I understand. But what people don't understand is if you really do, like we just did, kind of go throughout the roster, this roster is so solid. It's really hard as an analyst, in my personal opinion, to judge this roster in a negative way. You could say maybe Sherwood's untested, but he's been in this system his whole career. He knows where to be. And that's the thing that I think people do not talk about in football enough. And that's why good teams are usually look at them. They're not turning over their offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, and staff every single year, or every 2 years, or every 3 years. Ones that are together the longest usually have the most success, especially when you can retain your talent, which the Jets have been able to do for their core for the most part here for the last 2-3 years. And you need to do that. Like the Jets are basically, they're modeling their team based off of the 49ers.
Yep.
And the way that they do business is based off the Ravens and based off of the old Steelers and based off of the semi-current Eagles, because that is what Joe Douglas is familiar with. And all of these things that I've mentioned are all successful. You're building guys up through your system, right? Like they kind of let Johnson come along. They didn't put a lot on his shoulders right away. They let him grow. And then I remember when that game that he had, he always gives what's his name? Buffalo. Josh Allen. He always gives Josh Allen a hard time. And I remember that was like kind of his coming out game where he really shined. The Jets needed him and he kind of popped out and fans kind of started changing their opinion on him a little bit. But what we weren't really realizing at that time is this is how Saleh operates. He's not going to expose his young talent when he has a healthy rotation of players. So basically, they took the defensive scheme from the 49ers that has gotten them pretty much to success the last 5 years, and they transplanted it with the Jets, and then they just took that system. Like when you look at Brock Purdy and how he plays football, I'm not knocking his talent at all, and I will not do that. The guy had 31 touchdowns and 10 interceptions. That's showing you something for sure. But don't let that slip out of your mind that system doesn't contribute to that. The fact that you have a McCaffrey back there, the fact that you have a Deebo Samuels and Aya, these type of players, and not just that, you have pretty much a Hall of Fame tight end still there. So when you look at the Jets roster and how they constructed, they are very similar in construction. This could be a potential Super Bowl matchup if everyone stays healthy from game one. And I am so happy that this is game one, because this is going to be to me, the AFC versus NFC test right off rip, because the Jets, they're supposed to be one of those teams. They're constructed to be one of those teams, and they are built very similarly to the 49ers. They have stud running backs. They have solid offensive lines. They have quarterbacks that are going to play within the system. Now, they play differently. They play differently, right? But they play within the system. Aaron plays within his system with his guy up there. And here's another thing that I love. The system is ready to rock and roll. The system is already known. We don't have to teach a young guy nothing. And Tyrod can come in, like you said, 34 years of experience. He can come in and just get it going. And what is the one thing that the 49ers did last year and that you touched on? They don't give up the football. If you are going to be a playoff team, if you're going to win divisions, if you're going to win playoff games, you cannot give the ball up. Purdy had 10 interceptions. You have all-world running backs who don't give up the ball. If your team is not giving up the ball and you have a solid offense and you have a solid field goal kicker, you are going to score points. Now, where I think there's a difference between these two teams, for me personally, is the Jets defense is just on a different level. And the 49ers aren't quite what they were a couple of years ago. They've lost some players. And if you look at the injury report and you fine tune a little bit how the 49ers run their system, there's a lot of guys that are questionable. So they're either banged up or they're going to be missing. They're not as clean as the Jets coming into this first game.
No, they aren't. So I wanted to go back to something you said earlier, a player you said earlier. So you brought up Jamie Sherwood, right? Mm-hmm. That's who my wild card is, honestly, on defense. And let me tell you why. I think he's going to have a big year. He's finally getting his shot. And if anybody know who our defense coordinator is, Jeff Obridge, he was a linebacker himself, and he does wonders with linebackers. When he was the defensive coordinator with the Atlanta Falcons, he took a solid kid, Deion Jones? I want to say his name was Deion Jones, and he turned him into a monster. Yeah, it was Deion Jones. And under Obridge, he had the best year of his career, like 140 tackles, 4.5 sacks. You know, this guy develops linebackers. Look at Quincy. Look at Quincy. Cast off from Jacksonville, got him for nothing, you know, and he came and he was the second all-pro linebacker next to, CJ. So like he turns these linebackers into something. Even in the preseason, look at Zaire Barnes, look at C.J. Surratt. Like he takes these guys and he gets the most out of linebackers. So that's why we talk about the Sauces, the Reeds, the Carters, the Williams brothers. But I'm telling you, Sherwood is my guy this year, and he stays healthy. He's gonna have a nice year.
Absolutely, 100%. And again, the protections that they have on this roster, I think that they're going to be in something that the Jets defense hasn't been in 2 years. They're going to be in an advantage. I do believe in a lot of games they're going to have leads. This is something that the Jets really haven't had much experience in. A lot of their games, they're coming back, they're trying to take the lead, the defense kind of, keeps going, solidifies, tightens. The Jets keep going, inching, and then the Jets squeak out a win or they get a win. I think this is going to be a different situation. I think that the Jets are going to put points up where you could see players attack, where the Jets defense can attack in a way that they haven't been allowed to because of the offense. So I could see a lot more picks for these cornerbacks. I could see these linebackers having a lot more sacks. I could see these defensive linemen having a lot more sacks because
Yeah.
they're just going to be in advantage positions. They're going to put teams, I believe, in positions like third and longs and second and longs where they might be forced to throw the ball more. So this is where guys like Johnson and McDonald's can kind of tee off. These are guys like, Quinnen Williams, who could have more opportunities. And that's the thing too, when you're a bad football team or when you're a team that can't score points, the other team does not have to take risks. So they can run the ball on you a lot more once they get the lead and kind of wear you down and kind of take away your kind of umph. When you are playing with a lead, the other team has to make big plays and stop your energy and your rush. And they have to prove to your defense and to your defensive coordinator that, hey, you better stop blitzing. Hey, you better stop attacking the way you're attacking. Hey, you better not leave him on single coverage out there because I'm going to get you. You need to prove that to us before we're going to allow that. And the Jets have not always played like that. They played conservative with very good, talented players. Like, hold the line, boys, hold the line. That was kind of how the defense have been. It hasn't been in attack mode yet, and it's something Jet fans have not seen yet. And I'm super excited about that. I think that Sauce is going to have a fantastic year. I really, really do. I think he's going to get challenged a little bit more as they play these teams. They're going to say they're going to test this kid, and I think he is all about it. And playing with a lead, they could do some things that I think are really going to put Sauce in a situation to really go up and get the football. But I guess standout player, I think Conklin. I think Conklin is going to have a fantastic year. I think really he is going to save the Jets. He's not talked about much, but I think he's just going to be a security blanket for Aaron Rodgers if things break down. And he's tough, man. And I love tight ends that are tough, that have that persona where they come out when they get the football and they run hard and they run through you. They're not looking to dance and do all this nonsense. Conklin's ready to come out, make big plays down the field, run you over, and try to score touchdowns. And that's why I love him. And that's why I love his play style. I mean, just so many weapons that could be deployed that I'm really interested to see how the Jets, is their offense just going to emulate Green Bay? Like, I'm interested to see exactly how it looks, how they spread this thing out, because they have the opportunity in all reality to really open things up and leave the West Coast behind entirely if they wanted to with this type of team. I don't know if they're going to do that, but I'm just saying I think that this team is very capable of scoring a lot of points, not just in touchdowns, but also through special teams as well. So, yeah, I think Conklin's going to be the standout player for me. I guess if we have to say a young player standing out, maybe I think Allen's going to show. I think he's going to have no choice but to show. I mean, you're the number 2 running back in this league. Usually the number 1 guy doesn't get 25, 30 carries anymore. They haven't treated Brees in that way, even when he was really healthy. So I believe that he's going to split carries, and he's going to see a lot of them. If he has success early, they'll ride with him. If he doesn't show promise, that's why they have all those guys on that roster, and Isaiah is going to be the next man up most likely. So I am very, very confident in the whole entire roster for the New York Jets that, we could sit here all night and literally go player by player and talk about 10, 15, 20 minutes per player and how impactful they could be for the Jets. There's many storylines. It's not like, it's just Minnesota Vikings, it's Cousin throwing the ball to Jefferson. It's like that's the storyline for that team. The narrative and the storyline for this current Jets team is hard to predict preseason, because they could go in any direction. You could be a running team. You could be a running team that focuses more on the tight ends and more of the slots. You could throw it down the field with Mike Williams and and Garrett. You could be a strictly run and pound team. There's a lot of things. You could spread it out wide when you add Malachi Corley to the mix and what he's able to do. And I'm still not, it's not like I'm giving up on Xavier Gibson. I still like Xavier Gibson. He was very solid for us in many different facets. So you could spread this team out and you could throw the ball down the field. This team is very, very capable of doing a lot of different things. So I'm super excited about it. But let's get into the final portion of the show and give our predictions for the Jets versus the 49ers. Mr. Kennedy, I'll let you go first. What you got here for this game? What do you think it's going to look like? And then ultimately your favorite players and your scores.
All right. So before I give you that, I just want to touch on something you said earlier, and I wanted to piggyback on it and say about the defense you was talking about earlier. This defense will now be in a position to not have to go out and get wins. They'll be able to play to protect wins. You know what I'm saying? They don't have to go and get the lead. They plan to keep the lead. So that's a whole different dynamic for them that they won't be used to, and they'll be able to pin their ears back and go after it because, they got the lead and they know that offense is going to do something. As far as the offense, like you said, they can hit you in many ways. We will see, Aaron going to be Aaron. He's going to throw the ball, but the real key will be late in the game when they're beating you down with Brees and Braylon, right? So Aaron, Brees, and Braylon, this is my new phrase, Airbnb. They're going to air it out, and Brees and Braylon going to run the ball down your throat. Y'all heard it here first, Airbnb. I'm going to meme that and put it up, JR. Remind me. So we got that. Now, to the game. I think Jets win at least 7, right? I got them winning by 7. I think Trent going to be a little rusty, and he's going to have to deal with the wave of people coming at him all game, because of the depth of that line. And, thing about Aaron Rodgers is he plays well against the 49ers. I think he's 6-3, something like that, 9-3 or whatever it is. Against the 49ers, he's thrown 20 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, 67% passer, 2,800 yards. Just didn't have a defense to match his fly. He has that now. He's held on Monday Night Football, so this team is built to beat anybody, but they can beat San Francisco. So you look at Chardarius Ward holding Garrett Wilson, right? Jamar Chase is Charvarius Ward's daddy. Garrett about to be his stepdaddy. That's what's going to happen. The difference is we have cornerbacks to hold their receivers. They don't.
Yep.
You got Kittle, okay. But you also have Carter who can keep up with him. Wentz is fast enough to keep up with Kittle. Like they have the personnel to stack the box against CMC and play all the receivers one-on-one.
Right.
So it's going to be a good game. It's going to be a close game, but I still say we win by 7.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. I think it's going to be close, but only in score, though. I think the Jets are actually going to show their might in this game. I think early it's going to be close, but I think eventually the Jets are just going to be too much for them. I think the Jets have like a 30-17 lead in the fourth quarter,
Who?
and then the 49ers just score a little gimme touchdown just to kind of get it to 24, 24-30, so it makes it look like it's closer than it is. Like you said, if the Jets could just keep that box and lock down McCaffrey and force Purdy to have to do things that he's not accustomed to really doing and has to play outside of the offense, this is where he could get in trouble and make mistakes and become very vanilla looking, because I do believe if they're able to foster him over the years, over the next couple, that similar to Brady, where you can start to open up. It's not his arm talent. He could throw just fine. I think you just have to protect these young quarterbacks a little differently. And I think they're bringing him along within the system before they're opening it up to him. So I think if they could stuff the run, the Jets, I think they could stuff this run. That's the one thing, I guess, if I have to say how they're going to show more, is are they going to be able to stuff the run consistently this year? Is it going to be a problem for them? Or are they actually going to be able to stuff the run? If they're able to stuff the run this year, this is going to be really hard for teams to really score on them. They're going to have to, it's going to be shootout type of things in the big type of games in the playoffs, like you saw um, Josh Allen and Mahomes a couple of years ago, kind of going back and forth, where two solid teams can go back and forth, sure. But during the course of the season, I don't see the Jets giving up many points at all. And I think I saw something where Aaron Rodgers is like 80 and what is it? 80 and 4 or 5. It's nonsense. I saw if a team scores more than 19 or 20 points for him, it's something like that. And you look at the amount of points that he scores, the touchdown to interception ratio, and the amount of times that I think the Jets will cross the 50-yard line, they could just stack points in different ways, because they'll be able to move the football in so many different ways that if something's not working, they could shift and move to other players in other areas of the field, that they'll be able to put up points. I think that this season that the Jets 80-10, thank you. Yeah, I knew it was something crazy. Um, I think that the Jets are going to embarrass some teams this year. And I don't have any problem saying that if healthy, obviously, and that's with any team. You start dropping
Right.
players, things change. But if healthy, I really do believe that can happen. But in this first game, I'm kind of like coming into it angry a little bit. Like, because I'm like, I don't care. I want the Jets to come out and beat teams up. Like I'm angry. We haven't been in the playoffs in a while. I turned 40 in April. I want to go into 40 feeling good as a Jet fan. I don't want more disappointment. I've had enough. Rodgers, yay, he's here. Now it's time to come out and play. Joe gave you a roster, put it together. He gave you players and depth, put it together, coaches, put it together, players. Stay healthy, make plays. You're capable of it. Don't be a failure of a team with expectations that comes out as an 8-win team for some reason. Like, really be what you should be, which is a 10 plus win football team.
Yeah.
That is what the Jets should be. And I don't want to see anything less than that. So I'm coming in like expecting the Jets to win 30-17 or 30-24, because that's just how I feel right now. Like, I just feel it. Like, maybe like if you want to say a little more realistic, I guess, if you want to
Hey,
throw it out, but
that thirty
you
to
can,
seventeen. That's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's
I
see how it
mean,
plays out.
30-17 with a late touchdown just to kind of give them a little bit of something. But I don't see the Jets getting scored on 3 times plus, and I don't see how their defense is going to stop us from at least getting 2 touchdowns and at least 3 field goals at minimum. At minimum, good weather. I mean, I really do think that the Jets are going to be in that 20 that I think they're going to score like 27 points a game, like a lot. I really, really do. Like, I think they're very capable of getting 2 passing touchdowns a game from Aaron Rodgers and a rushing touch. You figure if Brees and company, they score, let's say 12-ish touchdowns or more, it could be more. You spread that out with field goal kicking in just that department. You're not even talking about tight ends, and we're not even getting into all these other touchdowns. Just field position alone is going to give us so many opportunities to score points. So, and the defense, I mean, you clamp down and then you give Aaron Rodgers the ball at the 40-yard line. You don't think he could get 20 yards, 30 yards, 30 yards to get you in position for Greg to put one up? Of course he can. So I just think that we have to be realistic and really give the Jets their flowers as far as their structure. Obviously, they haven't went out and played yet. But as far as what they've put on the roster, you've got to be impressed. There's not a lot of holes, and they did this in a short period of time considering they just drafted Zach Wilson not too long ago. They really turned it around fairly quickly to give the Jets an opportunity to be a good football team this year. So I'm really excited. I mean, for me, I have the Jets winning 12 games this year. That's me personally. And the first one I got them, no, I don't care, 30-17. And they ain't even going to score that gimme touchdown at the end. It's going to be abuse out west.
Well, listen, I agree with pretty much all of that. I mean, I do see him winning 11, 12 games. That 30-17, it's still the 49ers,
Yeah.
But outside of that, yeah, everything you said, in my opinion, was spot on. It's not much else to say. It's showtime, man. A couple things though. We'll get a chance to see a little history with Aaron Rodgers. He has 25 touchdowns to throw to hit 500. Be only the 5th player in NFL history to throw for 500 touchdowns. That's pretty cool. Him doing it as a Jet, and he's gonna break every single season Jets passing record. It is, yards, touchdowns, all of that. So I expect a big year from him. I expect a big year from the running backs, from the defense. The one thing I truly hope to see, better coaching from Saleh, better timeout management, better adjustments, because he has no excuses. He has all the pieces to do what he has to do. Now he has to make it happen. Like Joe sat down, he planned his work, and now he's working his plan. And Saleh needs to do the same. So let's get it.
Absolutely, 100%. Let's get it. All right, guys. Well, the Guru, it's over. We can't talk no more. The Jets just got to go out and put it out there, and we'll be here that Wednesday coming in to talk about the show. Yep. What's up?
Oh, and for those of you who love fantasy football like me, he kind of touched on it earlier. Our kicker, Zerline, is one of the hot names to pick this week if you play daily fantasy, or if you got him in your league, start him. And Jets defense will get 2 turnovers, 1 pick, 1 fumble. It's happening.
It's happening. Well, you heard it here first. Jets winning 30-17, putting the 49ers on notice, putting the world on notice. Thank you so much, guys, for tuning in. Please share. Thank you, YouTube. Thank you, Facebook. Thank you, JR, for the great production every week. Thank you for we got to give a shout out. I don't know the guy's name who made our new song, but it's wonderful. Shout out to them. Shout out to all the Jet pages, that have our show and allow us to post on there all our articles, videos, and everything. We just really appreciate the support. So thank you guys so much. Please, 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 please show up September 19th, Jets' first home game. Let's sell it out. Let's get there. Let's be there. Let's support the team, and hopefully we'll be going in there undefeated, ready to rock and roll. But JETS, Jets, Guru out.
What's up, Jets Nation? You're now watching Jets Guru. Now give it up for Daniel Smith and Tyrus Kinney. I say give it up. What's up, Jets Nation? You are now watching Jets Guru. Now give it up to Daniel Smith and Towers Kennedy. I said give it up. Yeah. What's up,